morning, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kat Calvert. I am the workstream lead for the new workstream Wellbeing for Learning. I would like to welcome you all this morning. Thank you very much for coming along. We really appreciate you giving up your day, and we hope that you very much enjoy the programme. So this is our first event across local authorities for this workstream since we've had COVID, and it's lovely to welcome you all this morning. We have a very, very busy morning planned. Education Scotland are also filming the presentations for us. No pressure, anybody. It will be really good to have these recorded because we know that there's some really high quality content there. We will be recording the morning on Twitter if you wish to do so. The Twitter if you could tag the West Partnership at WP Education, it's up there, and at EdScotCLD. We've got the hashtags, hashtag partnership in WP and hashtag because of CLD. You also have on your table a programme, and you have an instruction for joining Wi-Fi. Can I also highlight there is the QR code for the programme to enable us to be a bit more eco-friendly and reduce our paper content, and there is a QR code to the evaluation at the end. It's very, very short and not taxing at all. Without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Ruth Binks, who is the Director at Inverclyde. Ruth is one of the workstream sponsors and is going to welcome us this morning.
And good morning, everyone. And normally my voice is slightly higher. I have had COVID. I don't have COVID at the moment. It turns out other viruses are now available, and I've got the common cold. So apologies for my voice being probably 3 octaves lower than it normally is. But as Kat says, I am one of the sponsors. Myself and Mark Ratter from East Wren are the sponsors for the work stream, and I have always been the sponsor for this element of the work stream. My title is Corporate Director of Education, Communities and Organisational Development, and you cannot have a title and a remit as wide as that without knowing the value of that partnership working and how the totality of our support for families has to be seen together. Can I ask, how many of you were here 2.5 years ago when we had the conference? Hands up. Quite a few, and Craig and I were thinking about how long ago it was, and I know how long ago it was because I had a different car then, and my other car took me to the middle of a housing estate just to the back of here, and I couldn't find my way around, and a different car. I was hoping I'd get it here first time. This time, no, ended up in exactly the same housing estate. So it's something with the postcode always takes me to the wrong place for this, but I managed to find my way. But 2 years ago, apart from my sat-nav not having changed, a lot has changed. Can you remember what we were discussing, those who were here? Craig, I'm going to put you on the spot. What did we set out to do?
It was to strengthen the partnerships across different stakeholders, particularly from my point of view, from a team of advisors who've been involved in discussions to help them support schools to make connections across the sectors.
Absolutely, and it was to strengthen those partnerships. And what we did, well done. I didn't give you thinking time, I'm sorry. But it was, and what we wanted to do at that time was for CLD and schools almost to work in a partnership together. Almost a school adopted a CLD partnership and a CLD partnership adopted a school. Because at that time, and I am saying very clearly, at that time, schools often felt in isolation. Schools often felt they were trying to solve the world's problems on their own, with a big gate around them, not being able to reach out to partnerships. That's what we were feeding back. At the same time as we were hearing that, CLD was feeding back to us, we can't get into schools. We feel there's a big wall around them. And so we wanted to strengthen that. We wanted to break down those walls. We wanted to stop people running or walking in parallel lines. Now, since then, significant things have happened. One, we've had different funding models. So schools have begun to use their pupil equity funding, and they've begun to look at imaginative ways of meeting their school community's use and needs. So they've begun to look at more imaginative, more malleable ways of being able to say, how do we take things forward? What is the totality of the support we can give to our communities and families? And I think all the head teachers I'm working with are increasingly of the opinion that this is not something that schools should try to solve on their own. It's got to be something that's done in partnership. And the other thing that's happened is COVID, where schools have been in a position where they could not solve the issues on their own. They've had to work in partnership. And by goodness, how quickly did we get to work in partnership? If my own experience of CLD is anything like the totality of this room, CLD were everywhere at the beginning of COVID. They had the links, they knew the families, they could get into the communities, they knew the businesses that were there. Absolutely. You could not get a more malleable service. And I think today we are starting from a different position to the one we were in 2.5 years ago. I think we've been able to break down barriers. I think we've been able to be more imaginative. I'm hoping that where we're starting from as we develop partnerships is a different philosophy and ethos as we go forward. And I'm very much looking forward to hearing the presentations today. I can't stay with you for the whole of the morning, but I can stay with you for some of it. And for me, for my own development, learning more. Have a lovely morning, everybody.